Okay, you guys are probably saying, oh boy, not another friggin' shop update, but let me kind of bring you up to speed on some other things that have been happening in the shop and just explain to you that this is probably going to go on for a little bit. There's a lot of things that have to be taken care of with the new truck, the new trailer, getting it registered, getting it insured. Well, it's insured, but getting them registered, getting plates, getting all of the stuff that goes with it. There's modifications that have to be made, so it's just going to take a while. So kind of bear with me, guys, but there will be other things coming up. I know a lot of you are into the haul truck, and I'm going to try and get a short video out on it this coming week. So again, just kind of bear with me, and let's get started with some other things right off the bat. Okay, so we're over here at the Ford Expedition, and you can see hood's off, engine's out. I've got the engine. We have the engine. Matt did a lot of the work, most of the work. Got the engine over on the engine stand. The heads are off, and heads are off, and the heads are over here on the workbench. He was trying to get the spark plugs out. I had to make a small haul yesterday, kind of a local thing. But so he was over here trying to get those remnants of the spark plugs out. Now, when I say the remnants of the spark plugs, I'm talking about the broken parts of the spark plugs, the ceramic and broken tips that were down in there. We still have that one plug that is on the right hand head or passenger side head, the rear plug that was stripped in the head. When he got it, as you've seen in past videos, or if you are new to the channel, on the right hand head, passenger side head, the rear plug was seized into the head. We couldn't get it out because it appears that somebody else had, before we got the vehicle, had tried to remove the plug and stripped it. So we weren't able to get that plug out, hence that's why we're taking the heads off. In hindsight, there's no way that we would have ever got those other pieces of plug out the conventional way of the ceramic glue going down in there and trying to pull the broken pieces of spark plugs out. In hindsight, we would have had to have taken the heads off to get the pieces of spark plugs out. I'm kind of a diesel guy, and typically diesels are cast iron, and so I deal with that around New York. Where I'm going with this conversation is this residue that's built up all over the aluminum pieces of this, the heads. I don't know whether you're going to be able to see it or not. Do you see this like crystallized stuff? This was coming down like off of the heads, and I'm almost thinking it's a kind of a reaction between the cast iron block and the heads, but the head gaskets were, I think, designed to try and stop that. They're multi-layered gaskets. And I've got to think that they did that to try and stop a reaction between aluminum heads and the cast iron block. But anyways, we'll bring you back. So the new truck, what I did is, it's on a Sunday. I came in here and just washed it. I wanted to get all the bugs off of it. Logically, coming up from North Carolina this time of the year, there's a lot of bugs out, and there was a lot of bugs all over the front and everything. So what I'm going to do, I cleaned it up. I'm supposed to pick up that thing tomorrow. I'm not sure still whether I'm going to have them put it in or not. Depends on what kind of time frame that I have with me. I'm probably going to go home tonight, order a couple of switches that I will need for the fuel tank, just to get the fuel tank out. But one of the other things, I think I have a couple of hauls that I've got to make this week. But one of the other things that I want to do is, while I'm doing this, is do a dressing on the outside finish of this. Now, I'm not sure whether I'm going to take a polishing compound and try and shine it up a little bit. If you can see in the light, and I don't know whether you will be able to see in the light, there is a little bit of orange peel left into the clear coat on it. So I might take a polishing compound and a buffer and just clean it up a little bit, and then probably put a sealer over it. I use a product called Jet Seal, and that's from Chemical Guys in California. They make car cleaning, conditioning, waxing products. So that Jet Seal is supposed to be pretty good, and so I'll probably put a coat of that over it. I know the guy right next door to me does ceramic coating, and I'm not really sure that I want to spend that money. Again, it's a work truck, but I would like to protect that finish and clean it up a little bit so the paint pops a little more. Now, I know it's hard to see it in here in the shop, because you really don't have good lighting in here in the shop, but yeah, that's it. I also got one of my viewers said something about detailing their, or referencing the old trucks, engine, transmission, stuff like that, to the new truck, power output, stuff like that. So maybe I'll do that and give you a little bit of an idea of what I'm going to be doing to it also. But I'll bring you back. So I told you about I might be polishing the truck or doing stuff like that. Well, it looks like from this sticker that the truck was protected with something, and that kind of leads to me to believe that it was, because the dirt, bugs and stuff like that can be just hosed off. I don't even have to wash it. I think it was some kind of a coating. I'm not going to say it was a ceramic coating. I kind of tried to look this up, and I didn't have much success, but I'll delve into it more. But it could have been a ceramic coating that was put on it to begin with. Because, again, a lot of things will just wash off with water, rinse off with water. But let me get into the performance aspect of it later. I'm going to throw a clip in of me making a haul with this thing, but let's get to something else first. Just as part of a little shop update, for the guy I know, I built these brackets. And what they are is, he built a tree house for his grandson. But his daughter didn't want upright supports coming up off of the ground for it. She just wanted it cantilevered out there. Well, he wanted to put these brackets on with, he's going to have turnbuckles and cable that goes up further into the tree. And it kind of, you'll see that manila envelope sitting there on the floor. It's got angles on it, and those are the angles of the brackets. So the bracket that I welded on, the eye bolt that I welded on, is at the same approximate angle as the cable will be going up into the tree. That way you don't put bending stress onto the bracket. But I just wanted to show it to you. I was done with him, but when he came he was coming in to see me anyways. He came in, I had just texted him about 30 seconds before he came in. He wanted to show me something else, which will be another shop update coming up in a couple of weeks, in addition to the shop. But anyways, when he came in, I asked him, I says, do you want me to weld the loops together on those brackets so that they don't separate? And he does. So I'm just going to do that. I won't show any welding on it, but that's what they are. 4 corner brackets. They get lag bolted. I think he's going to through bolt them, not lag bolt them. Through bolt them into the decking, and yeah, they get the cables run up into the tree with turnbuckles on them. But anyways, I'm just going to, as you can see, they weren't welded. They were just bent over. I'm going to weld them together just for a little bit of a safety factor. Okay, so this is a shot behind my shop, and guess what that is? A Ford Expedition out there in the distance. And there's a reason it's out of the shop. I'll bring you back. Okay, so as part of a little shop update, what I did is got the gooseneck installed in the truck. So I had to make a haul yesterday. I had to go down Pennsylvania, pick up a load of racks. I had showed this load before, so I didn't take any video of it. I'll try and find a clip of it and insert it here. But if I don't find it, it was just a load of racks out of a warehouse in Pennsylvania going up to the guy in Bergeron. Now, when I was on my way back down towards Binghamton and the batteries are failing in this, hang on a minute. Okay, so I have no idea where I left off. I went to get the batteries to put in this thing and got tied up with a million other things in the meantime, and this is probably like 2 hours later or 3 hours later. So anyways, we put the hitch in this morning, but yesterday I had to make a haul down to PA, and I think I've told you this already, pick up them racks. And when I was coming back, I got tied up in a traffic jam on a hill and another accident. It's hilly country, and it was one of them things you go 5 miles in stop and go traffic. So I was having issues with the clutch to begin with, but it really got bad yesterday. Got up this morning, started the truck up and left, and it was fine. Went to my coffee shop, picked up coffee, came back to the shop, parked the truck in front of the shop, went out to get in it, and the clutch will not engage. I cannot get the clutch to engage. So what I ended up having to do is, because I had another short haul to make today, ended up having to get this gooseneck installed right away, and use this truck to make the haul. So here is my truck, and what it is a clutch is shot. I got the doors open because it was it's been sitting in the sun for most of the morning and it was getting real hot, but got the doors open just to vent it out. I've got to get the forklift truck and take it and put it in the shop using the forklift truck. But anyways, new clutch time for this. Then it gets given to my grandson. I still have the temporary plates on, but I hauled the trailer with this morning. Everything is fine. Everything works good. So yeah, that's where I am with this. I'll bring you back and show you as I progress with it. Possibility I might be getting the trailer on Saturday. This is Wednesday. This is Wednesday that I'm shooting this video. Possibility I might be getting the trailer Saturday. So I've got another haul I've got to make Monday. I've got to leave, go to Massachusetts, pick up 2 gen sets. take one of them down to Virginia, and then I might be picking up another genset in Virginia and then hauling that all back to a place in Pennsylvania. But anyways, I'll keep you posted as to what's going on. Nothing's really been done. I've kind of showed you the Ford Expedition. Nothing really going on with the haul truck this week. But I kind of figured that would happen because there's a lot of things that have to happen with this, getting this prepped, getting it trailer. I won't tell you what I'm going to be doing to this until I actually do it, and then I'll show it to you. But there's a lot of preparation work in getting this thing ready to haul. But I'll bring you back. Some of you may know what we're looking at here. Some of you may not, but I'll explain it to you in a minute if you don't. So I told you that we had taken the Ford Expedition out, and I told you that we had had clutch problems with my old truck that we needed to get resolved before I gave it to my grandson. Now, I've been having clutch problems with that truck for a while. It's got a dual disc clutch in it, and it's probably got 160,000 miles on that clutch. Hauling, a lot of it spent hauling, and I told you that I was having problems with it before. What I would be doing is, if I was hauling heavy loads, I would get chirps out of the clutch, kind of telling me that it was slipping just a little bit. Now, I never got it when I wasn't hauling. It was only when I was pulling something pretty heavy. Also, the throwout bearing was terribly noisy. South Bend had tried to rectify. Dual disc clutch were always notorious for having loud, very loud throwout bearings. And South Bend had tried to rectify it, and when I first got this clutch, it was very, very quiet for a dual disc clutch. But over time, it became very loud. The throwout bearing would rattle, and it was very loud. Not when it was engaged, or after it was engaged, but when you had the clutch down, it would rattle terribly. So anyways, make a long story short, I told you that the Expedition was out, and logically we took the Expedition out so that we could bring my old truck into the shop to try and figure out what was going on with it. Again, I thought it was a clutch, but then we started playing around with some things. What I would do is, anybody knows, you have to depress a clutch to start it. So I could get it into gear with the truck off and not running, and then push the clutch down and try and start it. And what would happen was, sometimes the starting it would engage it, and it would start moving while the starter was engaged. Which kind of told me that the clutch wasn't getting engaged properly. So we started thinking about something, and here is where what you're looking at comes into play. We started wondering if it wasn't the linkage going to the clutch. Well, as anyone knows, on a Dodge, they have hydraulic clutches, and when you put a dual disc clutch in, South Bend offers a upgraded hydraulic system for the clutch. But what you have here is, you're looking at the stock hydraulic system, and as you can tell, if I have the stock hydraulic system out of the truck, then that's probably what the issue was, and it was exactly what the issue was. On the stock clutch, the stock hydraulic system that activates the clutch and deactivates the clutch, has no adjustment. And that's exactly what happened. Either the cylinder failed somewhat, or because I couldn't get any adjustment out of it, and here we go with this battery thing again. If I couldn't get any adjustment out of it, I couldn't fix it. So what we did, we brought it up, we took the Expedition out of the shop, put the truck in the shop, put it up on stands, and started looking at it. We took it off, we put some new fluid in it, in this thing, the old one, and I got it to took it back down, put it back together, took it down, and took it out and drove it for a little bit. And it did work for a while, and then it just started doing the same thing again. So we kind of realized that we couldn't get any adjustment out of this old thing. So what we ended up doing is putting, instead of putting a clutch into it, I bit the bullet and just ordered a new hydraulic system from South Bend. Now this is a box that it came in. We didn't film any of the replacement, but what I did is got the new hydraulic South Bend clutch linkage. Now it comes total. What you're looking at with the yellow cap is the master cylinder for it. When you buy this kit, it comes with the new master cylinder hoses and the new hydraulic cylinder, which is, by the way, adjustable on the South Bend. So I bought this, we installed it. Again, I didn't film any of it, but it worked fine. So the truck is fixed. Does the clutch need to be replaced? Yeah, it does need to be replaced. Again, I got some slippage out of it, chirping when I was hauling heavy stuff. But my grandson, without hauling anything, will probably get another 50 or 60,000 miles out of that clutch before it needs to be replaced. So my thought of having to replace that clutch turned out to be wrong. All it was is the linkage going to the clutch that engages and disengages it. South Bend, it was a great product. You can buy factory replacements, but they're probably Chinese knockoffs. And again, if anybody knows me and Chinese knockoffs, sometimes they work, sometimes they are pieces of shit. So instead of going with that, I went with an American company. Yeah, I paid more for this thing, but it was worth it in the long run. So fixed, old truck fixed. He's using it. Okay, I had told you in a couple of previous clips that I had to make a haul using the new trailer, new truck, and I had to go to Massachusetts, Virginia, and then back to Pennsylvania. So I'm not going to show you any of that haul except for this coming clip of me sitting in a little pull-off area of the road down in Pennsylvania, and it'll be explained in the clip, and then I'll come back afterwards and explain more about the trip and the downfalls of it, or my pitfalls, let's put it that way. Okay, so this has been like the trip from hell. Well, it's not really been from hell. The first thing is I went on this first haul trip, and it don't have that auxiliary tank in there. Trying to find a diesel fuel station, a truck stop, is like hell. There's plenty of signs listed, and let me tell you where I was on Route 75. 95 South. They list the places that have the diesel fuel on the signs, but you don't know whether they're a truck stop because they are listed as like Sunoco's, Gulf, stuff like that, not Flying J, Petrol, Love's. And I just had a hell of a time trying to find a place to get fuel. And I was getting fuel all the time because that tank is only a 30-gallon or 31-gallon tank. And I was stopping for fuel like all of the time hauling this thing. But the trailer held up good. Only issue was the fuel. And this thing. This thing is like a biggest air dam in the world, and it's heavy. Very heavy. My guess is between 14,000, 16,000 pounds. And going down to Virginia, that wasn't the only one I had on there. I had another one on there. So here it is, and I'll explain more to you about it. The other complication is I get to this drop-off point, and it's kind of out in the middle of the sticks. As you can see, we've got mud mats here, swamp mats, heavy equipment operation. It's way out in the middle of nowhere. And two of the roads that I could have taken to get to this place are closed. One is being repaved, one has a bridge out. And I have no way of knowing how to get around all of this. The downfalls of a GPS. Because as soon as you try and start backtracking things, the GPS is trying to take you back to the original road. You can't tell the GPS whether the bridge is out or the road's closed. But anyways, I'll explain it all later. There's that generator set. What was it? I think it was 175 kV. Not sure. I do know that it is 9'7" high, but that's 9'7" high to the top of the casing. There's a stack with one of them flappers up on top. I don't know whether I can get back far enough to show you. So it was probably just under 13 feet, maybe a little over. I'll bring you back. Okay, told you we'd talk about my pitfalls. Showing you the inside of the fuel cap. See that little blue cap in there? The worst fucking automotive engineering design ever. Ever. That shit should have never, ever, ever been put in a truck. Crystallized in here. Was all over the side of the truck. Okay, let's talk about some of the pitfalls. I probably had gotten really complacent in my attitudes with fuel because of what I had been running before. Basically had a 35-gallon tank in the older truck, that 75-gallon auxiliary tank in there, and you really didn't have to worry about getting fuel. Usually I run places where I know what fuel is. Again, Flying J, Petro, Love's, places like that, TA, places like that. Again, on 95, they weren't like that. It was Sunoco Gulf, stuff like that, diesel, and you didn't know whether you were getting at a truck stop or not. So I went through that, and the issue with that is never knowing. You don't know. You're always wondering, am I making the right decision here? Is there going to be a truck stop at the next exit? You don't know. One thing that I did figure out, I have a Garmin GPS in there, and it's called the diesel model. It's for truckers. It also has a car or automotive mode in it too, but basically it's a trucker. So one thing that I did find out towards the end of the trip is that if you click on the little gas pump symbol, it will show you truck stops when you're in the truck mode on that GPS. I didn't know that before, or I never had to figure that out before, because again, I've become complacent with having 110 gallons or 100 usable gallons of diesel fuel available to me at all times. This thing, I think the tank is 31 gallons. I know that the light comes on at 27 gallons. So, again, I was able to figure out by clicking on that fuel pump symbol that I could find truck stops. Now, at one point when I was leaving Virginia, it took me up some obscure routes to get to Pennsylvania. I was going to a small town in Pennsylvania called Shingle House, Pennsylvania, if anybody wants to look it up on a map. And it's in northwestern Pennsylvania. It's kind of below Olean, New York. Very small town. Anyways, on my way out of Virginia, again, I had filled up at a station where I left when I dropped off at the generator, and that's another story, and I won't even get into that, finding a fuel station around there. Actually had people taking me to fuel stations and turning out not to be a fuel station that I could get the truck and trailer into, but regardless of the point. I found out by clicking on that diesel pump symbol on GPS that you can find truck stops. And what I did is I got part way up, and I think it was on Route 15 in Pennsylvania. It might have been Pennsylvania. It could have still been Virginia. I started running low on fuel, and this route was out in the middle of nowhere. Again, very sparse country here. I started getting low on fuel. I clicked on it. It showed me a fuel station, a truck stop type of station 8 miles ahead. Now again, when you click on this, it shows you a truck stop. It doesn't tell you what this truck stop is. So it showed me one 8 miles ahead and one 76 miles ahead. So I was running really low on fuel at this point when I discovered this thing about clicking on it. So I opted for the 8 mile ahead one because I would have never been able to make the 76. Turns out it was a truck stop, but it was a mom and pop truck stop. Couple of islands, truck islands. There was probably 8 tractor trailers parked in back where guys were sleeping. Again, this is 3 o'clock in the morning, but the station was closed. So what I ended up doing is pulled into the pumps, thinking maybe, hopefully, that the pump would take a credit card. A lot of pumps, even though the station is closed, you can still get fuel out of the pump if you use a credit card, but that wasn't the case here. So 3 o'clock in the morning, I pull in, kind of look around and figure out it's closed. There's no signs about when it opens or closes. There's no signs that say anything. So I just pulled up to the pump and kind of fell asleep there and heard a truck's air brakes going off next to me, and this was about 6 o'clock in the morning, and they had just opened. So I fell asleep for 3 hours in the truck and got fuel, but that was kind of my thing on the fuel. The DEF fluid is absolutely the worst shit in the world, really. That stuff is all over the place. It crystallizes. It's absolutely terrible. In a lot of places they don't sell. There's dispensing nozzles in truck stops where you can put DEF fluid in, right with the pump. There's another dispensing nozzle or a dispensing hose that pumps DEF fluid into truckers' tanks. You get to a small station, they don't have those things, and you're going inside and buying gallon jugs in a funnel and trying to get it into this thing. And I gotta tell you, this stuff, I don't know how it ever came about, but the guy that came up with this should be fucking shot. Again, it stinks. It's all over the place. It crystallizes. It's probably terrible for the finish on like pickup trucks. I mean, truckers with a auxiliary tank like they have probably don't have to worry about it, but this stuff is terrible. Maybe it might be the last time you'll ever see it on my truck. So, anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Hit that like button, subscribe. Again, I'm trying to get a haul truck video out, although it may be short, sometime later or the first part of next week. So as I was editing this video, my grandson came in, and guess what didn't work? That's it. The hydraulics for the clutch. Worked for a while, but he's having the same problems. Not as bad, but he's having the same problems again. So it's got to be the throw bearing or the clutch itself. So gonna end up ordering a new clutch, and he wants to do it himself. So I'll order a clutch in, and he's gonna change it here in the shop. But anyways, I just thought I'd let you know.